Hello and welcome to another free code session. My name is Jason Bach and I want to do two hopefully quick things, which won't make them not quick, but hopefully two quick things today. It's a Sunday morning and it's a snowy December morning. I was thinking last night as I was looking out the window, you know, it's Minnesota, it's December. And somebody jokingly said on a call where I work that, oh, you live in Minnesota, isn't it always snowy there and cold? And I'm like, no. Well, this morning it is. It's early December, and it finally, it's not a lot of snow, but it's a little bit, and it's definitely blowing out and cold, and I guess you get what you ask for. So I am heading to Dev Intersection tomorrow and doing a couple talks and a roundtable discussion there. I'm kind of nervous. You know, this is when this new variant is around. I mean, it's already around. We know it's around. And even though I have both vaccinations, I also have my booster. There's a mask mandate at the MGM, on the plane, you know, blah, blah, blah. It's still a concern of mine. And, you know, I'm just hoping that everything goes well. I am interested to see what Dev Intersection is all about. And I'm hoping that this is a productive conference. So we'll see. Anyway, let's get into the first thing I'm going to be doing, which is I noticed on this UsingUsings project that there is this thing where you'll sometimes get global system and just system. And all I want to do is make sure that when I'm adding a namespace to my statistics that I am stripping off the global whatever and not having that be global. So what I should do first is I do have tests here. So using Directive Analyzer tests. So what I want to say here is that I should have analyzing code when it has multiple directives, even though you say using system and then using system again, you still only have two. What I want to say is if you have something like, let me do this. Analyze when code has global namespaces. So that's where you'd basically say something like global. And that's okay. Usually that's implied. So, oh, wait, okay. Unexpected use of an alias name. Oh, see, this is where it all kind of, oh no, wait a minute. I'm doing this in the, I'm an idiot. I think that's where you're, yeah, and this should say this is unnecessary because you don't need it. Okay, but for some reason that's popping into what I'm doing. So what I want to say is something like, well, let's grab this because we know this works. Okay, so we're going to do this. Oh, that's all the code I need. Do that. And now if we say here, global, excuse me, I should see two here. Now I should expect this to fail right now. Yeah, this is the test mantra that I do follow, which is if you're going to fix something or change something, have a test in place that will fail and then do the change. Not always. I mean, there are cases where it's just easier to go in and make the change and then put tests around, or you know, it depends on the situation. I think this is a clear case where you want to have a test in place first, make your change, and then run the test again, and it should pass. Okay. We just have to wait for the 2 minutes for this to actually run. So it does fail, and that's good. It should fail because it should say there's 3 in there. Well, if you would ever actually show that, come on. Expected 2, but was 3. Okay, good. So we've got the right thing in place. Now we need to come up here and say in core, directives add to string. I wonder if it's just as simple as a replace. You know, if I aggregator. Oh yeah, that's the thing that goes and uses the Analyze. Okay. Yep. So I wonder if this is just as simple as replace if I find a global with a string dot empty. Is it just as simple as that? Now what are you complaining about? You want to tell me you're so annoyed by what I'm saying, you want to tell me it twice. Okay. String comparison. Let's say invariant culture. And let's shove this down because it's... All right, now, if I run all my tests, and yes, I don't have tester on the aggregator, but this is really what I'm looking for. I should see and I do now. Okay, that was a simple fix is that if I run this now, I shouldn't see globals in when because I have this targeting rocks out of the gate. And hopefully when this is done, we shouldn't see all of the, it should be a little cleaner. Yep, I don't see any global. System is now 15.75. If I look at the error here, not the error, but it was 4.3, 11.4, so 15.7. Yeah, it actually looks like it did exactly what I expected it to. Perfect. That's all I wanted. So I will commit this and say git commit to stripping global off the namespace if it exists. Commit. Done. And I will be back after I do all the merging. Okay, I got all the branching and merging and all that other stuff done. I screwed up actually. I was on main and I had to update the version number, and so it was a little bit of a mess. But I figured it all out. It's all up there now. I just need to push the new package, which I will do later, up into NuGet. So this other one is this solution that I've been keeping around if I do a talk on performance improvements and stuff like that. Just cases that I run into here, there, and everywhere. And the one that I want to look at is this. There, if you look at a syntax node in Roslyn, there's like 3 different ways that you can find out what kind it is. There's a SyntaxKind enumeration. There's the kind method, there's RawKind, and there's isKind. Now what's interesting is I just found out is that there's actually this it's code analysis analyzers, which I have to make sure that I'm actually going to bring in so that they kick in when I do this. But there's this thing that says now prefer SyntaxKind. I don't know why they use this. They should actually use the backtick. But anyway, isKind to kind. Code using isKind is slightly more efficient in runtime, so consistent use of this form. Blah, 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 blah. So I'm like, okay, I just saw that come up recently, so it must have been added in one of the more recent builds of this analyzer package. But it doesn't include RawKind, so I want to throw that into an analysis test, and let's just see where we can get this to go. Okay, so the first thing I need to do is, let's see, we want to have a syntax node kind approaches. Sure. That sounds like a name as good as any other. So I'll call syntax node kind usages. Sure. Okay. Take 20 minutes to create the class. You know, there's no rush on my part. Do I actually have a, yeah, I actually used 2 versions of Visual Studio because I wanted to have this up, and let's do that because we really should. Okay. And what version? We can make this 6, but we're going to pull that out. Okay. And we're going to put that here and say this is now 6.0. Okay, treat all warnings as errors. We don't need this package anymore because that's just there for the right. Now, of course, when I turn all enable by default, that's going to probably cause some fun what's the word I'm looking for? Chaos when I do this, but that's okay. So let's actually see if we need to update benchmark I'm sure we do. Managing your packages. We say updates. There's probably got to be a update for benchmark. There always is. I don't know why they don't go to a 1 point. I don't understand why this package has been around for years. Still does not target like a 1.x release or something like that. So let's say Microsoft Code Analysis. Okay. So we're going to want that. And does that actually reference dependencies? No, probably not. That's okay. So we're going to need that. And thank you. And then we're going to want the analyzers because I want that one to pop up. I just want to see it show up. Yeah. The thing is, and wait, it does not need to be installed. Oh, well, okay then. So I'm just going to follow what it told me. So, okay, let's do that. Let's do that. Let's come over here. Oh yeah, since we're, I will do that once I get everything done, which is now that I'm in 6. Well, wait a minute. I should say implicit. Yeah, I want to say implicit usings as well. So let's come back up here. And you may wonder why I'm doing this in a props file. Well, in case I ever bring in another project here, I want them all to have the same things. So let's say latest here. Let's say that. Okay, so I'll pull all that down. So eventually this is going to start to kick in and say you don't need it. But well, we should be able to do that as a remove unnecessary usings across the whole project, right? And let's say apply. Let that change everything and we're good. It's the file scope namespaces that's going to be a little bit more annoying. Okay. Okay, so let's just make this a file scope namespace right away since we're here. Let's make this public. Put that there. And gather your suggestions. You're going to need them. So what do I want to do? I just want to have like a simple piece of code that, let's say a private read-only syntax node, node. Okay. Now it's going to complain to me because blah, blah, blah. Let's do a global setup. It's going to be executed only once, just before warm up. Yep, that's exactly what we want. Setup. So we're going to have a public void global setup. So here we're going to have var tree is equal to, you know what? I'm just going to come back over here and copy and paste all the things. Yeah, it's actually in the analyzer. I was being silly. So we want to do this, okay? Yep, you don't know what that is, but you do now. And we're going to have here public class data. I don't care. It doesn't matter because the point of what we're trying to do here is we're going to say this.node is equal to unit descendant nodes, where we're going to do a descent all the way of type class declaration syntax. And that should be that. Okay. And then we're going to say single here. Okay. Now, why is this barking? Oh, it's because it's read. I can't do that. Okay. But what I do want to do is say the. Now, what are you telling me to do? Fix formatting. What formatting? Shut up. I have no idea what formatting you're talking. What formatting are you talking about? Fix formatting. What formatting? Whatever. Okay. We're going to say benchmark here. And again, if I look at the thing here, it's saying prefer syntax is kind. Okay. So we're going to say this is the baseline. Oh, jeez. Public bool check kind using isKind. Okay. And I believe we can just do this as a this dot node. Yes, because Jesus. Is kind. And we'll say syntax kind. Oh my God. I'm like, why would I use Visual Basic? My goodness. Do you know what that is now? Yes. Syntax kind class declaration. Thank you. Okay. So then we're going to have the other two here. Check kind using kind. And this one is just kind. And that is an extension method equals syntax kind class declaration. And the last one is RawKind. RawKind. And that will be RawKind. And that is an int. So then we need to say int here, I believe. You'll tell me if I don't need the cast. Okay, now let's just see how many compiler errors I have, because I bet I got a bunch. Because I've now enabled all code analysis thingies. And it might tell me, yeah, you got a bunch messed up. We'll see. Just take your sweet time. Fail. Okay, it did fail. So how many? 246. Well, you know, and a lot of these are better. Like, so you know what? I'm going to pause. I'm going to fix all these, and then I'll come back and we'll continue on. Okay, as you can see here, I just gave up. I just turned analysis mode and I turned it back off to be the default. A fair amount of things that I was doing in my code were just, they're done on purpose that way, because either benchmark.net wants you to do it that way or whatever. And I'm just like, I do not want to fight this. And maybe someday I'll come back and, you know, like, I'll put a to-do here. To-do. No. You don't do a to-do. You do a comment like this. To-do. Maybe someday I'll clean all these up. Good enough. Okay, let's get back to what we're actually here for. And that is syntax node kind usages. Okay, and that is, I think, all good. So class declaration, class, you know, and again, I should probably write a test project to test all of my tests. That's something I'm going to put in as a thing to do, an issue for this project in the future, but I'm not going to address that right now. What I am going to do is go into my program here, and let's just do var usages equals a new syntax node kind usages global setup. That's the other thing too. If you have a global setup, you need to run that first, and then say console write line usages check kind using isKind, and then we'll do the other two. Comment that out for just a moment because we don't want to have that run. Let's do that kind and then RawKind. What do you got? True. Yay! So it's all doing the same thing. Okay. And then we'll put this in here. Now we need to say syntax kind node usages. All right. So I'm going to let this run. I'll just see what it does, and then we'll go through the results and see what they say. Oh, one thing I didn't notice here is, you know what? Hold on. Let me just turn this back on again. Let's build. What I just realized is, you know, you're being told RS 1034 prefer isKind for checking syntax kinds. I don't think I saw that in the list here. Yeah, that's kind of interesting. Yeah, you'd think it would, and it's sorted. So yeah, I'm a little surprised that that's actually not showing up, because it's supposed to tell you, you know, if you're using isKind to prefer to use kind or whatever the other one was. So I'm a little surprised that this is not showing up. And also the fact that when I was importing the NuGet package, it was telling me you don't need to do anything with this. It just comes along for the ride. So I don't know if the analyzers package is only used, that's actually, see, this is where the curious fella comes into play here, is I wonder if I say Microsoft Code Analysis Analyzers. Analyzers for consumers, extensions and applications about never got it. Sure. Huh. Okay. Well, I thought maybe it would. I don't think it's going to be smart enough to go, are you in the context of a analyzer or a code fix? And that's the only time I'm going to show you this. I would imagine it just says, hey, if you're calling this method or you're doing it this way, you should do it this way. So I'm surprised that this is not actually showing up. But I don't know. I mean, documentation says prefers kind to syntax kind equals kind. And that's exactly what I am doing here is this. It's saying, don't do this. And yet nothing is coming up here and telling me, there's no issues here other than this IDE, nothing else is coming up. So I don't know what the deal is with that. But anyway, we're going to run this. Why are you yelling? Oh, for God's sakes. Oh, no. It will, because I had turned it. Now it goes away because I turned it off and blah, 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 blah. Yay. Okay, so I'm going to pause this. I'm going to run it and we'll look at the results. Okay, and the results are in, and it's not surprising that it says, I want to make sure that I have the is kind is the one that is preferred. Okay, over kind. And that kind of makes sense because it's an extension method. It probably takes a little bit more time to do it that way. So is kind is the way you want to go. Of course, if you really want to optimize stuff, RawKind is the way to go. So that will give you the best performance. So, I mean, I get why is kind is a little bit nicer because it's comparing against the enumeration value. RawKind is just an integer and, it's maybe a little bit more susceptible. I don't know, but, now I've got benchmark tests in there and that's good. So before I commit this, I'm going to go through and make sure that I got like all the namespaces as file scoped, and then that will be it for this one. By the way, before I finish this episode, I did not realize until I ran this, I had copied this attribute everywhere. And this is something I have put in, I think, to benchmark.net, is to consider creating analyzers specifically for something like this, which I make the mistake all the time. I'm just copying, pasting a method, and I forget that I had baseline there, and then I run the code. And then it tells me you can only have one baseline. Whereas if you had an analyzer, it would have told me right away, hey, you can only do this once. And then I would have caught that and I would have seen it, and then I wouldn't have tried to actually run things first. So yeah, that was hopefully it's something that the benchmark.net team does consider adding in some analyzers. I think that would be a nice improvement. But anyway, I have the rest of the day to pack and get ready to fly tomorrow, and hopefully everything goes well. So thank you all for watching. Leave comments and questions below. See you in the next episode.